lot of talk about Intel, Daniel, where stock's been all over the place. It's down 6% today. At first, Trump said the CEO should be fired. Then he met him and said, wait a minute, I really like this guy after meeting him. And now the government is taking an equity stake in Intel. And that's driving people in the media batshit crazy. If you're a Trump hater, you're saying government has nationalized our companies. What are we doing? If you're a Trump lover, you're saying, hey, it's not really a big deal. We want to make money off the money we give companies. I mean, what are your thoughts? Because I think I have a little bit of a different opinion here, and I get the concerns, but a lot of concerns that we're hearing are mostly on the political front, depending on what side of the aisle you're on. I want to try to make money on this, and my opinion is a little bit different. I want to get yours first. So what do you think about this? Because it is a big topic. It's all over CNBC. It's all over the news. They just said we're going to take 15% of everything of Nvidia and AMD that you sell to China. The government is getting involved specifically in companies. Is that a good trend? Is that a good idea or not?
It is a very slippery slope, and I don't like this. I think the big lesson here and the value I think we're providing, one of the pieces of value we provide here is that you need to invest in the world as it is, not the way you want it to be. And that's the same with tariffs, because you cannot be a free trading country when nobody else is free trading. You're just going to get waxed. And that's what's happened. In this scenario, I don't like this idea because of the slippery slope we're on and the abuse that will follow. And what do I mean by that? It's picking winners and losers. And the absolute dishonest, most pathetic, undervalued, or invaluable thing the mainstream media does is that they act like us consumers or individuals, are too Florida stupid to understand what's going on. This fires me up. The mainstream media is doing such a lack of disservice when they act like history starts today. Okay, because they're acting like Trump is the first person to try to go pick winners and losers, and they act like private and public partnerships haven't been a part, unfortunately, in my opinion, of the way of the world. So I don't know when you want to start with history. You could look at Solyndra and the absolute patheticness and $500+ million throwaway. But don't worry, because an Obama recent official said that was a small amount of money because it's only because Trump's doing large amounts of money. Do I like this deal? Absolutely not. Why? Well, because it opens the door. The pendulum is going to constantly swing. Right now, all the Republicans, if you're in Trump's corner and you like him, that's fine. Guess what? Power changes. Democrats will be in power. And if you don't think they're going to pick winners and losers, because guess what? They already have. Every administration does it. This administration can use the same excuse as everybody else, national security. All you got to do, Frank, if you ever want to get anybody on your side, you say it's for national security or you're saving children. For whatever reason, those are the two things that you just get away with murder. Now, the thing here is, I just get nervous about what potentially could come. I get the idea that you want to incentivize stuff. Listen, I don't know, again, when do you want to pick your start? Do you want to talk about how Tesla was propped up by the government through how many administrations forever? Is that okay? They're picking winners and losers there. The point is, this is the world we live in. That drives me insane. Having said that, if you had a gun to my head, I would absolutely buy Intel here and hold it because I don't know how this is going to go down. One last thing before I pass it back to Frank. The reason it's a slippery slope is already today. You're seeing headlines that the equity stake could go beyond Intel to anybody that got money from the CHIPS Act. Okay? So Nvidia and AMD are already on the take. We can call President Trump the Godfather, I guess, Frank, because he's just going to shake down. That's awesome. We need an AI image of the Don, the Godfather. But anyway, hey, this is the world we live in. Don't get too upset. I'll leave that to us here. But it's a slippery slope. Frank, what say you?
It's a slippery slope, but I'm going to take a different angle at this. And I understand the concerns. Nationalism and all this stuff, and you're taking over some of these companies. The government has an equity stake. We see what happens, and they're comparing it to China and all. It's not China and everything, where they actually run those companies. The telecos and stuff like that. Even in Canada, the same thing, right? If you go back to the podcast, and I think it was last year, or maybe a little bit earlier than that, the Biden administration gave Intel almost $8 billion under the CHIPS Act to build fab facilities. If you go back and listen to that podcast, you're going to hear me cursing like a maniac because I was so pissed off. I was like, how could you give $1 to Intel? Why isn't this going to Nvidia? Why isn't this going to AMD? Why are you giving it into the worst company, a broken company with terrible management, a team that used to be a top 5 company in the world based on market cap, now has missed every major trend from mobile phones to cloud to AI, everything. They watch AMD, which had $1 stock at one point and going to go out of business, where Intel, I think, tried to make sure they didn't go out of business. This way they don't monopoly at the time. Looking 20 years ago, now AMD's eating their freaking lunch. But when we give taxpayer monies, just those dollars away, like to the post office, to healthcare companies, to chip companies, to solar, to wind companies, even to colleges, I like the fact for the first time someone's thinking about the rate of return that we get for this investment, because that money is out the door, lost, and it's gone. That's why I was pissed off about Intel. You're giving it to Intel. Intel's going to build facilities. What are they going to do? They're going to promise you that they're going to hire new people, which they're probably going to fire a year later after their numbers are not fucking good anymore. And then they get all that money for free. And that's your money. That's your money. That's my money. Like, shouldn't we have a choice of where this money goes? I mean, why should it go to the fucking post office? And I'm not killing anyone who works for the post office. I'm just saying the post office loses what, $5-6 billion a year. UPS and FedEx are run pretty well, going through a little bit of a downturn, but still generating profits, right? It's when you don't have accountability and you have no stake in the game, it's no wonder why these politicians are doing what they're doing. They don't care. It's not their money. I mean, a good example is this, and how easy it is to spend other people's money is DEI in colleges. So in colleges, receiving what, tens of millions, right, from the Biden administration, DEI, they hired tons of new people, new departments, they created new curriculums, talked about how important DEI was for the long term, even BlackRock, long term. This is so important for America. This is so important. You know what? What happened when Trump pulled the funding? You realize it wasn't so fucking important anymore. What did the colleges do? They all cut their DEI departments. They truly believed in DEI, that it was a game changer. It's good for the country. They would have kept them. They'd pay for them out of their own pockets, but they didn't because they weren't being handed checks. And that's our government. We hand money to anyone, and there's no accountability. And you wonder why. I mean, I know someone told this story who went to call a dentist and said that they wanted to get a cleaning, and it was like $125. They didn't know this person had insurance. She went there, it was $125, and she's like, oh, I have insurance. They're like, okay, you know what they charge her? They charge her $300. They didn't know that she has a deductible, so she's like, why'd you charge me $300 for? They're like, oh, we went through insurance. Think about that for a minute. I mean, that's fraud on every single freaking level, but that's what you do. I mean, you wonder why, surgeries. I got one hip replacement like 7 years ago, and I got the other one like 3 years ago. The first one, I didn't pay anything. I had to pay like $5,000 out of pocket for the second one. What the hell happened? It's the same insurance, everything, right? I mean, how much money do they need to make off of this? But we just keep handing money. There's no competition. There's prices that, hey, this is what it is, and you're going to have to pay it, whatever, because the insurance takes care of it. I like the fact there's accountability. I understand people will be like, yeah, Frank, but they're taking percentages of companies. I like the fact that the taxpayer could earn a rate of return now, because now it's not only are we giving you this money, you better do the right thing with it, make money, and we're going to get a percentage of it. I kind of like that. I know I'm by myself, and I get the concerns about nationalism and having the government involved. I'm just saying, you're hoping that the government isn't that involved, where the government is probably going to give Intel more contracts now that they're under, again, Trump likes them. And we talked about the Trump portfolio, and that's doing very well still, even a little bit on this pullback. But when it comes to Intel, and you see what the president is doing, is he going to give more business? All I know is if Intel really succeeds here, which I place a huge doubt on because they haven't succeeded in 15 years now, they're terrible. But if they do succeed, why shouldn't the taxpayers who's giving them billions of dollars make out on this deal? And that's what I have no problem with. It's the accountability, it's stake in the game. It's okay, this is our taxpayer dollars. How do we make money? Instead of just shoveling money to all these solar companies and all these companies for nothing, they can go bankrupt. They could generate $20 billion in profits. The taxpayers see nothing. We just handed them that, all because of that company is paying back the politicians through lobbying dollars and giving them money and funding their campaigns and stuff like that. It's like this whole cycle. Hey, you wash my hands, I'll wash yours, and we're fine. At least we're seeing some accountability here. That's a different take. I know, frankcurzioresearch.com. Feel free to email me and say I'm crazy. I just like the fact that you have stake in the game. I've been doing this for 30 freaking years, and a lot of people that give advice, they don't have fucking stake in the game. They don't have stake in the game when they tell you Bitcoin's going to zero when it was 1,000 and now it's 115,000. And people listened and they shorted and they got wrecked. They didn't short. All right, there's a lot of people, I'd say 85% of the people on TV that you see, they don't have stake in the game. They give advice all the time, but they don't have stake in the game. This is having stake in the game. That's one of the things that I like. Again, different opinion from probably a lot of people out there, but that's how I feel.
There's no way I disagree with that. What about the return? Because again, it's not what you want. It's the way the world is. So therefore, our taxpayer dollars are spread out, given away, lit on fire, all that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great argument. Hey, what about our return? Then you go down that rabbit trail of, okay, well, let's say you get $1 billion, just as an example. Where does that money go? Who uses it? And that's not a problem in and of itself. I just think it's a slippery slope, but it's the way we live in. And but great take. I mean, if you don't think the taxpayers should get something, I think that's even worse.
Yeah.
I think that perspective.
And I understand that people like Frank, though, but nationalism, and I get it. I understand it. But it's without doing
I know you're
this,
not saying this. It's not nationalism yet, but it is definitely the step towards that.
Yes.
You can't deny that. And I'm not putting that on you. I'm simply saying out loud. It's just like with tariffs. Hey, you'll say, oh, tariffs led to World War II. Okay. If you want to say that, you can say, okay, tariffs ended up going to World War II. But that didn't happen overnight. We didn't say, all right, we're implementing tariffs, and then boom, bombs are flying the next day.
And not to mention, we had how many freaking years of almost 80 years, 90 years, whatever it is, of people taking advantage of us through tariffs and stuff like that, which you see in a lot of different areas, right? You do see it. And that's why do you think the countries are signing deals right now? because they know how lopsided it was. So it's different times, it's different variables, it's different facts you have to look at. You can't just say, well, we're trading at a 22 times PE ratio, and it's the same ratio when the market crashed. I mean, we were trading at 22 times earnings several times for the past 2.5, 3 years, and stocks are up tremendously. And you're not seeing the PE ratio go skyrocket because earnings are just continue to surge. Goldman Sachs even said we had one of the best earnings seasons on record when it comes to the amount of companies, the amount that companies beat on earnings. Not just the percentage of companies, but how much they beat by is the highest on record that we've ever seen. And that's something when you want to see when your stocks are trading at all-time highs. Or, they're trading at 22 times PE on average for the S&P 500. You have to make sure that growth component is there. And these guys are growing earnings right now. They're growing earnings. If they're not, look out. That's where you're going to see a lot of these names that all of a sudden warn that are trading at 30, 40 times earnings, and they warn that they get wrecked. They get hit hard by 20% because they lowered estimates a lot. But overall, you're still seeing the earnings back up where we are, 22 times forward earnings. And like I said, if you think we're expensive now, we were more expensive 2 years ago because earnings were a lot lower. And yet our market has done great since then. So we have to continue to see the growth. We haven't seen the cut in spending in AI, crypto initiatives, stuff like that, raising money. There's a lot of positives in this market. But listen, stocks pull back and they should pull back. We should have a recession every 6-7 years. Our government doesn't allow it anymore. There's no such thing as a recession. If it comes down to it, we're bailing out the fucking world like we did. In COVID, we're going to release not just $5 billion. We waited for stocks and every asset price to go all-time highs by the end of 2020. Released another $7 trillion, not billion, but trillion, right? First $5 trillion, then another $7 trillion. And they're wondering why. Economists are like, why do we have inflation? How did I get this wrong? My God, stop fucking reading books and just look ahead,
F-bombs,
please.
Frank, say Florida.
Stop freaking reading data and just you know what? Smoke a joint, sit back and just try to forecast. Okay, don't forecast just by looking at stuff that happened in the past 20, 30 years ago because it's different. We never injected $15 trillion into economy in like a year and a half before. You're going to have inflation, and we didn't give it to the banks to lend out. We handed directly PPP loans directly to people. We had, have people next door to me before I moved to my new neighborhood. But they had city jobs and they have, 2 Mercedes and 3 cars in a driveway. I mean, come on. I mean, you could see it if you just opened your eyes a little bit, and I wish they did. But anyway, not to beat a dead horse here, but I do like it when it comes to, the accountability part. And that's all I'm saying. I just think it's really good that the taxpayer could get a return on their investment when they're used to not getting anything on their investment or the choice of what they fund. We don't have a choice. We just give them their money and they do whatever they want with it. And it's been lost for so many years. At least now we're in investments that could do good. And hopefully that could lead to us maybe getting money back. That's a stretch, I know, but let's see what happens, later on in the couple of years ahead. But I think it's too early to see if this is a good idea or a bad idea. Let's see how it plays out over the next 12,
absolutely. It's
24 months.
Too early.